Hey friends, how you doing? Just here getting a load of firewood. 365 special ported 181 SE stock. Okay. I want to do something a little unscientific. 65 cc's of ported power saw versus 81, 82 cc's. I think that's 82 cc's. I can't remember. So we're talking a 16 to 17 cubic centimeter difference. Okay, I'm going to do an unscientific cutoff between these two saws. That one has a 30-inch Oregon 3/8 58 gauge chain. That one has a 25-inch still with a 3/8 still rapid super 50 gauge. Okay, this is not scientific in any way. I'm just going to move these saws and yak with you guys for a minute before we do this. Okay, so I'm just here getting a load of firewood today. What day is it today? Sunday, I think. It's kind of overcast. It's not the nicest day out, but I'm here getting a load of firewood, and I thought, how close are these two saws? You know, 81, 82 cc versus ported 65 cc. The question of why port power saws comes up a lot. Does it lessen the longevity, this and that? Yeah, sometimes it does. To me, it doesn't matter though, because the production and the lack of weight is huge to me. So those two saws couldn't be any more different from each other. 65 cc versus 81, 82 cc. I think that's an 82 cc saw. So we'll say there's 16, 17 cc's difference. In a two-stroke, that is massive. Okay, long stroke small bore versus long stroke small bore, but difference, right? I believe the 281 has a 38 millimeter stroke and a 52 millimeter bore. The 365 has a 36 millimeter stroke and a 48 millimeter bore. So my whole thing is, in big wood, we're talking 3 foot plus, that 181 is going to run away on the 365. I guarantee it. It's got torque. It's not the zippiest saw, but it's decently fast for what it is. I've always liked 181 281s. They're a good saw. They're not that heavy, but when you compare that to the 365 is lighter. So the question is, in your average cutting scenario, the wood we have here today is, I don't know, 20-inch, maybe a little bit longer, okay? In 20-inch wood, in your average cutting scenario, will that 365 rock and roll with the 181? My thoughts are, yes, it will. Will it do it as easily? No. When you're running a high-speed, lower torque ported saw that's smaller in bigger wood, it's all in the operator. I don't port for torque. Machine work, you know, where you drop the cylinder, I don't do that kind of porting. I like my saws to be as fast as they can be, meaning higher RPM. And again, to each their own. If you do machine work porting, I'm okay with that. This is just the way I prefer to do it. For reasons I've outlined many times. Number one, in the winter, you can't start a high compression saw here. It doesn't work. So, anyways, I digress. I'm kind of rambling on. So, what I want to do here today is I'm going to fire both these saws up, get them warm. We're not even going to do a bar swap. We're going to do what we're doing. And let's see, will a ported 65 cc saw keep up with a stock 80 plus cc saw? I think it will. I'm going to have to stay diligent in the cut to keep my saw, my 365, on the pipe. If I start leaning on that thing hard, it's probably going to come out of its power band and it's going to fall on its face. That's the way it goes with a smaller saw and bigger wood. You have to be finesseful. And if you run the saw right and you know how to sharpen a chain, you can cut with big saws with a small saw. It's all in the chain and all in the man feeding the chain. Now, this wood here is it's cottonwood. It's what we have. Cottonwood's not the hardest cutting wood. This cottonwood's actually fairly dense the way it grows here, and it's grabby. The grain tends to be wavy even when you're cutting cookies. If we hit knots, which there are knots in this piece, it will slow most saws down. When I hit a knot with a 365, listen, you'll hear it struggle a little bit. There's the difference in a big saw versus a small saw. So without further ado, I'm going to bar up both these saws, and let's do a cutoff, if you want to call it that. 181 SE from TK. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Thank you, buddy. This thing runs phenomenally. Here's what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to cut with that saw, and then I'm going to cut with that saw. 365, 181 back to back. Let's see what the difference is. Okay, I'm going to fire up both saws. Get you guys set up here. Right over yonder. Yonder. There we go. Okay, I want you guys up close. Okay, let's run both saws back to back and find out. This will be exciting. I've never done this before. Learning how to file is the greatest thing I ever did. Get that gullet, folks. It all started with Bucket's first filing video. It really changed me. And again, helping others is why I have this channel. I want people to learn. And learning how to file, it don't matter how angry of a saw you port. If you can't, you know, when I couldn't file a chain to do that, my saws wouldn't cut. Now look, it's all in the filing. Okay, what did you guys think of that? That was fun. I think, and I guess I'll have to review the times, I think the 365 might be a hair slower, but it was right there, like one on the other. If we did that again, maybe the 365 has a slightly more aggressive chain. It might be a little on the hungry side. The 181, the chain's not quite as aggressive. They're both good and sharp, but that 181, what I feel, I could lean on that saw and it doesn't slow down in the cut. Again, I was just letting them feed light pressure all the way through, but the 181, nothing's slowing that thing down in wood like this. It's an easier saw to run, it's an easier saw to live with, but it's heavier. So if you're not cutting this size wood and bigger all day, do you need a big saw like that? Again, I'm not a faller. I'm just I'm a saw wrench who cuts firewood. To me, I'm always going to gravitate towards the lightest saw I can to do the most work. Um, I always bring 5 saws when I go cutting, though, friends. Let's be honest here. But I mean, if I can have a light saw that'll do everything I need to do, I'm running that saw all day. I think over a day of cutting, my production is greater and I feel better if I run a lighter saw. The reason why I like the 281, 181, 288, they're not that heavy and they bring power to the table. I tend to gravitate towards the 281, 181 side of things. I think they're a better balance of bore and stroke. The 288's a little overbore for me. It makes more horsepower, but it has a smaller power band. And I find a 288, you almost got to run it like a smaller saw a lot of times. In the future, I think what we're going to do is we're going to port a 288 and a 281 at the same time and run them together. And I think that's something I want to do for me. I'd like to own both saws. I have both. This one's running good. My 288 is out of commission, and we have a spare 181 that came with that saw. So I think between the two saws, we can make one good saw, and then whatever, the parts will pass on to somebody. So yeah, and the 365, running it, I could feel it slowing down when I hit the knots. I could feel it. That saw, Ragged Edge of Sanity, like you gotta feel what it's doing. That's probably pound for pound my favorite saw. I use it the most. It's just a good saw. It pulls hard in the cut, but again, it's only 65 cc's, so it'll play with the big boy saws. But when push comes to shove and you hit knots or something like that, it'll slow down very quickly, right? So you have to run that saw just right. The right operator on a saw like that though, and it'll cut. So anyways, friends, I just thought, I was in the mood today doing saw comparisons, and I thought, let's do this. I've always wanted to do comparisons. Nothing scientific. I'm not really into the whole, cookie after cookie, crunching numbers. I'm not like that. In the bush, it don't matter. Does the saw start? Does it tune well? Does it oil? How's the vibration, if that matters to you? Is it light enough that you can swing it around all day? That's all I care about. To me, when I'm porting, I want to build the angriest saw possible, don't get me wrong, but when you're running all your ported saws in the bush, which one's the fastest? Sometimes it's hard to tell. So anyhow, friends, as always, thanks for watching. Take her easy. That was fun. We got to do that again with more saws. Later.